Welcome to Weekdays at BYU-Idaho Radio. I'm Harrison Kelly. I'm joined in the studio by Stef Fuchs. She's the teacher that just won the Idaho History Teacher of the Year award. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and congratulations on this really cool award.
Thank you.
So how long have you been teaching?
So I will be going into my 21st year of teaching, 14 years in Rigby.
14 years in Rigby. Where did you start?
So I started at Idaho High School, was there for about 5 or 6 years, and then I went to BYU High School, and then now in Rigby. So
Okay.
Idaho the whole time.
Idaho the whole time. That's great. And I understand you're also from Idaho.
I am, yes.
So what made you want to become a teacher?
So I always wanted to be a teacher. My mom and I would play school, and I would always make her be the student, and I would be the teacher when I was about 3 years old. So I always wanted to do it. It's kind of been in my blood ever since I've been little. My mom was a paraeducator, and my grandmother was a teacher. I have aunts and uncles who are teachers. So that's definitely been something that I've always wanted to do.
So it's been ingrained. It's been a part of you ever since the beginning.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious to know, because teaching can take a lot.
Yes.
It can be a really hard thing, especially, depending on the age level that you're teaching. And sometimes teachers, it takes a really good mentor to get them to where they are. Are there any mentors that inspired you?
So the person who actually got me interested in wanting to teach history was my high school history teacher, Mr. Eric Haroldson down at Bonneville High School. He just taught with a lot of passion, and he made me remember things, and he made it come alive. As far as in my career itself, Mr. Laren Johnson, he is the Idaho Teacher of the Year, and a fellow colleague at Rigby High School. He's actually the one that nominated me for the History Teacher of the Year award, which was a great honor coming from such an amazing teacher as him. He has a lot of passion, and he just loves the kids and cares for them, and it's just really inspiring. So.
It does help to have mentors along the way to help you. How did you cross paths with that mentor at Bonneville High School?
I was in his class. I was in his world history class when I was in 10th grade, and then I took his British history class when I was in 12th grade.
Wow. Yeah. And history classes, a lot of people, I hear from some people that history is not their favorite subject. I actually tend to disagree. History was one of my favorite subjects, but a lot of people say, oh, it's kind of boring, it's kind of dull. What do you do to engage the students in history?
So you're 100% right. Kids come in there and they're like, oh, I hate history. It's so boring. It's just a bunch of dead people a long time ago. It doesn't have anything to play with me. But for me, I like to start out, hit the road running, with simulations. When I lecture, I play bingo, and so the kids are playing bingo and listening for certain words. Just try to make it fun. We do a Jamestown simulation, and they get to choose kind of their own adventure of what they would have done in Jamestown. I like to do debates. I mix it up a lot. I don't do a lot of book or lecture. I do more interactive activities for the students.
And how do you feel that helps the students nowadays? I know attention spans aren't as great as they used to be, and some people are better visual learners, they're better project-based. How have you noticed that type of teaching inspire the students in your class?
So yeah, we call it TikTok brain when students don't have that high attention span, but it's something you do have to mix it up. You can't just do an hour straight of the same activity. Every about 20 minutes, you have to change it. So I like to start a lot of times, of course, introducing the topic, talking to them about it. So a mini lecture about 10 minutes, followed up by some videos for the visual learners, and then I like to have them delve into an activity. So whether that is preparing for a Socratic seminar, where they're going to have deep discussions, or they are working on a project together, or if they are just doing group work or individual work, but then that kind of mixes it up.
What along this teaching process, how did you come up with this style of curriculum, or not necessarily curriculum, but this style of teaching?
I've just always kind of done it. It hasn't. Well, okay. Actually, let me step back. So I started with more lecture based, like my teacher had been, and the kids were fine with it. But then when kind of TikTok and Instagram and all these social media things came out, the brains changed. for the kids, and they couldn't sustain that amount. And so I was like, this is not reaching them like it used to. These stories are so cool and so fascinating, and you're trying to tell them these really fun, exciting ways, but after a certain amount of time, they kind of just check out, even if it's really fascinating. And so I was like, I have to do something. And so I started just brainstorming and thinking them up of different ideas and ways that I could kind of change it. And I practiced that and implemented that, and the kids seemed to really respond well. And so I just do that.
Yeah, you just kind of live as you go, live and learn as you go. Do you feel like that change in human development is a good thing?
Not necessarily. I think it's something that people have to learn how to focus, and even adults. You know, we've gotten to a point where even as adults where we kind of get TikTok brain, where we get very distracted and can't have a hard time with long-term sustainment. But I also think that it's good to have to step outside of the box and think differently and think more creatively. Like, we don't have to always do the same thing just because we've always done it.
Yeah, because sometimes lectures feel like it's kind of like a program. It's like a set in stone thing. And sure, some teachers can add some creativity into their lectures, but projects and activities really bring out the creativity first out of the teacher, but also out of the students in the class.
Yes, 100%.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious to know, why history? Why did you want to start teaching history?
So history is the story of humanity, and it's these individual choices of ordinary people that made extraordinary choices. And so it's really fascinating to hear those stories. And I mean, these people had dreams, they had lives, they had families, they had goals, and they made certain decisions, especially American history. The story of the founding fathers. These are ordinary men who made these extraordinary choices that led us to 250 years later. Here we have this wonderful, beautiful country. So I just love the stories.
And with those stories, what part of history do you feel like is so important to teach?
So for sure, the Revolutionary War. I teach world history, U.S. history, and world mythology. So kind of have a big mix. So in U.S. history, for sure, the American Revolution, because it's the founding principles of things that we still have today, but also the 1960s, because the 1960s is what actually shaped modern America to what we have today. So many events, political events, cultural events, economic events, wars, it all kind of started during that time period. So.
How do you feel like, I'm kind of curious to see this, as a history teacher, I mean, you know a lot about history. You have to know a lot about history to be able to teach it to the younger generations. What's your favorite time period to teach from? Is it that 1960s era, the Revolutionary War era?
For U.S. history, yes. In world history, I love teaching about ancient China and ancient Japan.
Really?
The samurai and all the different foundations of Asia, because it's so different from what we know. And so I really enjoy that part
What to you for that time period is the most intriguing part to teach?
I would have to say the concept in China for the mandate of heaven. This idea that rulers are set apart by heaven, and if they rule well, good things happened. But the people believed that if they didn't rule well, then bad things would happen. So when natural disasters, which we now know obviously have nothing to do with that, would occur, then leadership could be lost, because they felt that their rulers had lost the mandate of heaven. And so you have, especially in China, a lot of different dynasties that get overthrown. And that concept, I think, is super fascinating, because for me, as someone who does believe in God, I do believe that, some of these things are mandated by heaven. And so it's interesting to watch that ancient concept.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm also curious to know, that I have so many questions for you here, but what would you say to those that, because there's people I've heard say this, but what would you say to those that say, oh, we don't really need to learn about some of that ancient history. That doesn't really apply to us. What would you tell them? Because it's something that you teach and something that you're trying to inspire these young kids. Why do you feel like it's so important to learn some of these ancient concepts?
I think because studying history is really the skill of critical thinking. You have to take evidence, look at it, examine it, and see, did this really happen because of this choice, or was it a foregone conclusion? It was going to happen anyway. And so it makes students especially have to think critically and examine evidence. And that's a real life skill. They need to be able to do that today in their own lives. They're going to make huge decisions here in the future. I teach high school, and that's going to be very soon. And they need to be able to look at evidence. They need to be able to think about how that applies to them and not just follow things blindly.
I like that you say that it helps them in their decision making, because literally within 4 years, they're making some of the most important decisions of their lives. And I think that's a great answer to a pretty challenging question. So I've heard some of your fellow students say they really enjoy your class.
Oh, that's sweet of them.
And how do you translate your passion to your students?
I think it's just being real with them. When a student walks in, they can tell immediately if you're trying to fake something. So if it's a topic that you have to teach curriculum-wise, they can tell if you're trying to fake it. And so you have to find something within that you do enjoy. And so that enjoyment passes on to them. I love watching them when a student comes in. We talked earlier about it's seen as boring. And I love when they come in to my class and they're like, oh, I hate history. But then they leave and they're like, oh, I actually really kind of like history now. And that's just such a rewarding thing for me. And I think it's just, like I said, be real. They know we're people. They're people. Treat each other with mutual respect. And I think that passion just naturally comes out.
In what ways do you try to, not necessarily that you have to get down on their level, but how... I mean, I know you do a lot of projects and you do a lot of really involving storytelling and teaching methods, but how do you really get through to them? Have you seen things that you've done to really get through to them?
So I think it's crucial to get to know them. You have to know the student. There's been times where very quiet, introverted students I thought maybe did not like my class or did not like me. And then later they tell me, oh, I loved it. It was so fun. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm so glad, And so it's really getting to know them on a personal level, because once they know you're interested in their passions, they become more interested in yours.
Well, and when you find those passions, how do you tailor those passions into your, not necessarily curriculum, but into your teaching methods?
So something that I'm actually going to start this year, I've wanted to do it for years, but just didn't have time in the schedule. But this year we've changed our schedule a bit and we have time. What I'm going to do in U.S. history is they are going to have to trace something they love. So for example, if somebody loves cars, they have to figure out what was transportation like in the colonial era, in the Revolutionary era, and then so on and so forth, and trace it throughout until the modern era. So they're researching something they love, but within that time period. And I feel like it's going to be super fun. I'm super excited actually for this project because I feel like it will help history come alive to them. So if somebody likes food, what was the food like, or clothing, or whatever topic the kids get to choose.
So the topic is their own.
Yes.
And I like that you talked a little bit about you gave the example as transportation. And I think that's an interesting side of history personally, because it shows transportation is the beginning of human connection.
Yes.
And the more that transportation evolves, the more humans throughout the world are connected.
Right.
And I think that's really cool. Making the learning theirs.
Yes, personalized to them.
It's
what
personal.
they want to research.
What kind of resources do you use for that? Because that's got to take a lot of time. I mean, I'm sure I don't know how it totally is, but I'm sure a lot of teachers, they just have their lesson plans that's the same year to year, and then they go and review that, and then they teach that to their kids. But the way that you're teaching, you have to prepare a lot for this. What's that preparation like?
Well, so like I said, it's an idea I've been kind of kicking around in my head for the last couple of years, but I finally just sat down and realized, okay, when can I do this? We've changed at Rigby High School how we're going to do intervention time. And so we have set time during class time where we're going to reteach certain concepts to certain kids. And because of that will give the other kids a chance to research. We have computers, and so I am going to give them a list of sources, so they know reputable sources. They aren't going just to Wikipedia, that anybody can change. And they'll be researching their topic while I call every kid up and conference with them. I really want to make sure every child gets a chance to talk with me, whether they need the extra teaching or not. Just one, it will help establish connections. I can help them with that project. And two, if they have questions, I can elaborate, things like that. And so they'll have time to research it doing that.
So that's getting to your point earlier of like getting to know the students
Yes.
on a personal basis, having that one-on-one time with them.
Yes.
When you encounter a child that's got some walls put up where they don't, I mean, they're like, oh, this is a teacher and I'm just a student, and maybe they're kind of worried, how do you get them to open up to you throughout those one-on-ones?
Like I said, it starts little small things. When I can tell a kid's maybe more introverted or doesn't want to open up as much, because you can usually tell pretty quick, I'll compliment them on their shoes. The kids love shoes. Or on something that they're wearing. Or I'll ask them like, oh, hey, what did you do this weekend? Or what do you really like to do? What are you interested in? And then usually once you get that interest, and I usually can find something I am also interested in, then we have genuine conversations. Like I said, it has to be real. It can't be a forced, faked thing. And so I definitely like to do things like that. I also on the first day usually do a get to know you activity where they write down some things that they like and then something they want me to know about them. And they write it down and give it to me. That way they don't have to say in front of class. So if somebody's feeling anxious, or then I know right away, and then it helps me kind of connect with them as well.
Well, and you talk about like how it can't be forced, and I think this is a great way to end this. How do you make it genuine?
You just have to love them. You just have to love the kids. And I do. I just generally love to teach. It brings me so much joy. And you just have to love them. Love them where they're at. You know, kids have got so many issues that we don't always know about. But in that hour I have them, they can feel my love. And they can feel my genuineness wanting to help them. And so you just got to love them. And
that right there is why you won the Idaho History Teacher of the Year right there.
Thank you.
That's got to be the nail in the coffin right there. That's a great way to end this episode. Everyone, this has been a great interview with Stefanie Fuchs, or otherwise known as Mrs. Fuchs from Rigby High School. She just won the Idaho History Teacher of the Year award. So thank you for coming into the studio. This has been great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been another episode of Weekdays here at BYU-Idaho Radio. I am Harrison Kelly. Thanks for listening.